Chapter 16, we take a zebra to Las Vegas. The war god was waiting for us in a diner parking lot. Well, you didn't get yourself killed. You knew it was a trap, I said. Aries gave me a wicked grin. Bet that crippled blacksmith was surprised when he netted a couple of stupid kids. You look good on TV. I shoved his shield at him. You're a jerk. Aries grabbed the shield and spun it in the air like pizza dough. It changed form, melting into a bulletproof vest. He slung it across his back. See that truck over there? He pointed to an 18-wheeler parked across the street from the diner. That's your ride. Take you straight to LA with one stop in Vegas. The 18-wheeler had a sign on the back, which I could only read because it was in reverse printing, white on black. A good combination for dyslexia. Kindness International. Humane Zoo Transport. Warning. Live wild animals. I said, you're kidding. Harry snapped his fingers. The back door of the truck unlatched. Free ride west, punk. Stop complaining. And here's a little something for doing the job. He slung a blue nylon backpack off his handlebars and tossed it to me. Inside were fresh clothes for all of us, $20 in cash, a pouch full of golden drachmas, and a bag of double-stuffed Oreos. I said, I don't want your lousy... Thank you, Lord Aries, Grover interrupted, giving me his best red alert warning. Look, thanks a lot. I gritted my teeth. It was probably a deadly insult to refuse something from a god, but I didn't want anything from Aries head touched. Reluctantly, I slung the backpack over my shoulder. I knew my anger was being caused by the war god's presence, but I was still itching to punch him in the nose. He reminded me of every bully I've ever faced. Nancy Bobofet, Clarice, Smelly Gabe, sarcastic teachers, every jerk who called me stupid in class or laughed at me when I got expelled. I looked back at the diner, which had only had a couple of customers now. The waitress who served us dinner was watching nervously out the window, like she was afraid Aries might hurt us. She dragged the fry cook out from the kitchen to see. She said something to him. He nodded, held up a little disposable camera, and snapped a picture of us. Great, I thought. Well, that'd make the papers tomorrow. I imagined the headline. 12-year-old outlaw beats up defenseless biker. You owe me one more thing, I told Aries, trying to keep my voice level. You promised me information about my mother. You sure you can handle the news? He kick-started his motorcycle. She's not dead. The ground seemed to spin beneath me. What do you mean? I mean she was taken away from the Minotaur before she could die. She was turned into a shower of gold, right? That's metamorphosis, not death. She's being kept. Kept why? You need to study war, punk. Hostages. You take somebody to control somebody else. Nobody's controlling me. He laughed. Oh, yeah. See you around, kid. I balled up my fist. You're pretty smug, Lord Aries, for a guy who runs from Cupid statues. Behind the sunglasses, fire glowed. I felt a hot wind in my hair. Well, we'll meet again, Percy Jackson. Next time you're in a fight, watch your back. He revved his Harley, roared off down Delancey Street. Annabeth said, that was not smart, Percy. I don't care. You don't want a god as your enemy. There it is. Especially not that god. Hey, guys, Grover said. I hate to interrupt, but he pointed toward the diner. At the register, the last two customers were paying their check. Two men in identical black overalls with a white logo on their backs that matched the one on the Kindness International truck. If we're taking the Zoo Express, Grover said, we need to hurry. I didn't like it, but we had no better option. Besides, I'd seen enough of Denver. We ran across the street and climbed in the back of the big rig, closing the doors behind us. The first thing that hit me was the smell. It was like the world's biggest pan of kitty litter. The trailer was dark inside until I uncapped Cataclysmus. The blade cast a faint bronze light over a very sad scene. Sitting in a row of filthy metal cages were three of the most pathetic zoo animals I've ever beheld. A zebra, a male albino lion, and some weird antelope thing that I didn't know the name for. Someone had thrown the lion a sack of turnips, which he obviously didn't want to eat. The zebra and the antelope had each gotten a styrofoam tray of hamburger meat. The zebra's mane was matted with chewing gum, like somebody had spit it onto with their spare time. The antelope had a stupid silver birthday balloon tied to one of its horns that read, "Over the hill!" Apparently, nobody had wanted to get close enough to the lion to mess with him. But the poor thing was pacing around on soiled blankets in a space way too small for him, panting from the stuffy heat of the trailer. He had flies buzzing around his pink eyes, and his ribs showed through his wild white fur. This is kindness, Grover yelled. Humane zoo transport? He probably would have gone right back outside to beat up the truckers with his reed pipes, had I not, and I would have helped him. But just then, the truck's engine roared to life. The trailer started shaking, and we were forced to sit down or fall down. We huddled in the corner on some mildewed feed sacks, trying to ignore the smell and the heat and the flies. Grover talked to the animals in a series of goat bleats, but they just stared at him, sadly. Annabeth was in favor of breaking the cages and freeing them on the spot, but I pointed out it wouldn't do much good until the truck stopped moving. Besides, I had a feeling we might look a lot better to the lion than those turnips. I found a water jug and refilled their bowls, then used Ankascamus to drag the mismatched food out of their cages. I gave the meat to the lion and the turnips to the zebra and the antelope. Grover calmed the antelope down while Annabeth used her knife to cut the balloon off of his horn. She wanted to cut the gum out of the zebra's mane, too, but we decided that would be too risky with the truck bumping around. We told Grover to promise the animals we'd help them more in the morning. Then we settled in for the night. Grover curled up on the turnip sack. Annabeth opened our bag of double-stuffed Oreos and nibbled on one half-heartedly. I tried to cheer myself up by concentrating on the fact that we were halfway to Los Angeles, halfway to our destination. It was only June 14th. The solstice wasn't until the 21st. We would make it in plenty of time. On the other hand, I had no idea what to expect next. The gods kept toying with me. At least Hephaestus had the decency to be honest about it. He put up cameras and advised me as entertainment. But even when the cameras weren't rolling, I had a feeling my quest was being watched. I was a source of amusement for the gods. On the other hand, I had no idea what to expect next. The gods kept toying with me. At least Hephaestus had the decency to be honest about it. He put up cameras and advertised me as entertainment. But even when the cameras weren't rolling, I had a feeling my quest was being watched. I was a source of amusement for the gods. Hey, Annabeth said, I'm sorry for freaking out back there at the water park, Percy. That's okay. It's just, shuddered, spiders. Because of the Arachne story, I guess? She got turned into a spider for challenging your mom to a weaving contest, right? Annabeth nodded. Arachne's children have been taking revenge on the children of Athena ever since. If there's a spider within a mile of me, it'll find me. I hate the creepy crawler little things. Anyway, I owe you. We're a team, remember? I said, besides, Grover did the fancy flying. I thought he was asleep, but he mumbled from the corner. I was pretty amazing, wasn't I? Annabeth and I laughed. She pulled apart an Oreo, handed me half. In the Iris message, did Luke really say nothing? I munched my cookie and thought about how to answer. The conversation via Rainbow had bothered me all evening. Luke said you and he go way back. He also said Grover wouldn't fail this time. Nobody would turn into a pine tree. In the dim bronze light of the sword blade, it was hard to read their expression. Here's a picture that I'll zoom out so you can see. There's the albino lion and Percy and Annabeth talking with his sword. It's kind of cool. Grover let out a mournful bray. I should have told you the truth from the beginning, his voice trembled. I thought if you knew what a failure I was, you wouldn't want me along. You were the satyr who tried to rescue Thalia, the daughter of Zeus. He nodded glumly. And the other two half-bloods, Thalia befriended, the ones who got safely to camp. I looked at Annabeth. That was you and Luke, wasn't it? She put down her Oreo uneaten. Like you said, Percy, a 7-year-old half-blood, wouldn't have made it very far alone. Athena guided me toward help. Thalia was 12. Luke was 14. They both run away from home like me. They were happy to take me with them. They were amazing monster fighters, even without training. We traveled north from Virginia without any real plans, fending off monsters for about 2 weeks before Grover found us. I was supposed to escort Thalia to camp, he said, sniffling. Only Thalia, I had strict orders from Chiron. Don't do anything that would slow down the rescue. We knew Hades was after her. See, but I couldn't just leave Luke and Annabeth by themselves. I thought I could lead all three to safety. It was my fault the kindly ones caught up with us. I froze. I got scared on the way back at the camp, took some wrong turns. If I'd just been a little bit quicker. Stop it, Annabeth said. No one blames you. Thalia didn't blame you either. She sacrificed herself to save us, he said miserably. Her death was my fault. The Council of Cloven Elders said so. Because you wouldn't leave 2 other half-bloods behind, I said. That's not fair. Percy's right, Annabeth said. I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for you, Grover. Neither would Luke. We don't care what the council says. Grover kept sniffling in the dark. It's just my luck. I'm the lamest satyr ever, and I find the two most powerful half-bloods of the century, Thalia and Percy. You're not lame, Annabeth insisted. You've got more courage than any satyr I've ever met. Name one other who would dare go to the underworld. I bet Percy's really glad you're here right now. She kicked me in the shin. Ah, yeah, I said, which I would have done even without the kick. It's not luck that you found Thalia and me, Grover. You've got the biggest heart of any satyr ever. You're a natural searcher. That's why you're going to be the one that finds Pan. I heard a deep, satisfied sigh. I waited for Grover to say something, but his breathing only got heavier. When the sound turned to snoring, I realized he'd fallen asleep. How does he do that? I marveled. I don't know, Annabeth said, but that was a really nice thing you told him. I meant it. We rode in silence for a few miles, bumping around on the feed sacks. The zebra munched a turnip. The lion kicked the last of the hamburger meat off his lips and looked at me hopefully. Annabeth rubbed her necklace like she was thinking deep strategic thoughts. That pine tree bead, I said, is that from your first year? She looked. She hadn't realized what she was doing. Yeah, every August the counselors pick the most important event of the summer. And they painted on this year's beads. I've got Thalia's pine tree, a Greek Trimidid on fire, a centaur in a prom dress. Now that was a weird summer. And the college ring is your father's? That's none of your. She stopped. Yeah, it is. You don't have to tell me. No, it's okay. She took up a shaky breath. My dad sent it to me folded up in a letter 2 summers ago. The ring was like his main keepsake from Athena. He wouldn't have gotten through his doctoral program at Harvard without her. That's a long story. Anyway, he said he wanted me to have it. He apologized for being a jerk, and he said he loved me and missed me. He wanted me to come home and live with him. That doesn't sound so bad. Yeah, well, the problem was I believed him. I tried to go home for that school year, but my stepmom was the same as ever. She didn't want her kids put in danger by living with a freak. Monsters attacked. We argued. Monsters attacked. We argued. I didn't even make it through winter break. I called Kyron and came right back to Camp Half Blood. You think you'll ever be living with your dad again? She wouldn't meet my eyes. Please. I'm not into self-inflicted pain. You shouldn't give up. You should write him a letter or something. Thanks for the advice, she said coldly, but my father's made his choice about who he wants to live with. We passed another few miles in silence. So, if the gods fight, I said, will things line up the way they did with the Trojan War? Will it be Athena versus Poseidon? She put her head against the backpack Ares had given us and closed her eyes. I don't know what my mom would do. I just know I'll fight next to you. Why? Because you're my friend, Seaweed Brain. Any more stupid questions? I couldn't think of an answer for that. Fortunately, I didn't have to. Annabeth was asleep. I had trouble following her example with Grover snoring and an albino lion staring hungrily at me, but eventually I closed my eyes. My nightmare started out as something I dreamed a million times before. I was being forced to take a standardized test while wearing a straitjacket. All the other kids were going to recess, and the teacher kept saying, "Come on, Percy, you're not stupid, are you? Pick up your pencil." Then the dream strayed from the usual. I looked over at the next desk and saw a girl sitting there, also wearing a straitjacket. She was my age, with unruly black punk-style hair, dark eyeliner around stormy green eyes, and freckles across her nose. Somehow I knew who she was. She was Thalia, daughter of Zeus. She struggled against the straitjacket, glared at me in frustration, and snapped, "Well, Seaweed Brain, one of us has to get out of here." She's right, my dream thought. I'm going back to that cavern. I'm going to give Hades a piece of my mind. The straitjacket melted off me. It fell to the classroom floor. The teacher's voice changed until it was cold and evil, echoing from the depths of the great chasm. "Percy Jackson," it said. "Yes, the exchange went well. I see." I was back in the dark cavern, spirits of the dead drifting around me. Unseen in the pit, the monstrous thing was speaking, but this time it wasn't addressing me. The numbing power of its voice seemed directed somewhere else. "And he suspects nothing?" it asked. Another voice, one I almost recognized, answered at my shoulder. "Nothing, my lord. He is as ignorant as the rest." I looked over, but no one was there. The speaker was invisible. "Deception upon deception," the thing in the pit mused aloud. "Excellent." "Truly, my lord," the voice next to me, "you are well named the Crooked One. But was it really necessary? I could have brought you what I stole directly." "You?" the monster said in scorn. "You have already shown your limits. You would have failed me completely had I not intervened." "But, my lord." "Peace, little servant. It's still going.